What about intra-workout nutrition? We hear a lot about branched chain amino acids, essential amino acids, hydration, and carbohydrate intake, and these kinds of things. What can these things do for us? And yeah, what's your take on it?
Sure. So basically, there's 4 rules you want to follow during training. Actually, before, during, and after training. You got 4 golden rules. Maintain a readily available flow of glucose. Maintain a readily available flow of amino acids. Get hydrated. And accomplish goals 1, 2, and 3 while minimizing gastrointestinal upset. Because nobody is going to perform well if they have bloating, distension, gas, farts, those kinds of things. Nobody performs well at bloating. So with your glucose, your amino acids, and your hydration, these are all hyper key to maximize performance. So glucose, for example, glucose is going to be an excellent fuel source for muscular output because of muscular glycogen. But a lot of people don't know that blood glucose is also a preferred fuel source for the nervous system. And your muscles are a whole lot like an engine, and the nervous system is like the driver. Doesn't matter how powerful your engine is if there's no driver behind the wheel. The nervous system is what's recruiting those muscle fibers and allowing them to contract with maximum strength and maximum velocity. So I really like a combination of muscle glycogen and blood glucose in order to maximally create both nervous system and muscular performance. On top of that, carbohydrates help uptake electrolytes into the muscle cells faster than they otherwise would have. If you just have water and electrolytes, or if you have water, electrolytes, and carbs, carbs help uptake them faster. You'll see in hospitals, they've got something known as Pedialyte. If you are having enough diarrhea and vomiting to the point where you can have severe dehydration to the point of death, they'll actually have a lot of Pedialyte for you, and that contains sugars because it hydrates you faster. So we're going to have carbs for nervous system, muscle system, and to enhance hydration. From an amino acid perspective, there is a lot of different benefits coming from the world of amino acids. Each amino acid can be explained in detail, but a big thing for me is like BCAAs versus EAAs. Your branched chain amino acids, they're really just showing up for work in terms to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. A lot of research on BCAAs stimulating muscle protein synthesis, because they do, but they don't provide the raw materials to actually repair and grow that muscle. So you can imagine it like a construction worker showing up for work, but he didn't actually build any raw materials in order to create and build that project that he's working on. EAAs do provide those raw materials. So you get the leucine, isoleucine, and valine from branched chain amino acids, but then you also get the other amino acids that are responsible for actually repairing muscle tissue. And when you stimulate muscle protein synthesis, but don't provide the amino acids to actually repair it, well, then the only other place they're going to get those amino acids from are other areas of your body. So you can undergo something known as protein redistribution, where it might be like, well, Nsima's quadricep is broken down right now, and he hasn't used his rear delt in a little while. So we're going to redistribute that protein from that area of the body in order to support the repair process here. So if we did an MRI on you, your legs got bigger, but you didn't actually build net muscle. It just redistributed from one area to the other. So BCAAs, they're only a stimulus for muscle protein repair and growth, but they don't provide the raw material. So I do like to hang out more over here in the EAA perspective for stimulus and raw material. But on top of that, glutamine helps uptake electrolytes faster than they otherwise would have been, just like carbohydrates do. Tyrosine is a precursor for dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. So we're getting more of a neurochemical effect on top of just the raw materials at play here. We have glycine that's also beneficial towards uptaking electrolytes as well. Taurine, excellent for minimizing cramps. It plays a huge role in electrolyte homeostasis, and taurine, even at doses as low as 1 gram, has been demonstrated to reduce delayed onset muscle soreness in double-blind placebo-controlled trials. So in that intra-workout window, getting the carbs in for all of those reasons, we're getting actual EAAs or even a full protein powder during training for all of the reasons discussed there. In terms of hydration, well, there's 2 kind of roads that you could take towards this. The first road simply being electrolytes. So if we had sodium is responsible for muscular contraction, potassium being responsible for muscular relaxation, we're getting contraction effect with sodium, but we're also getting anti-cramping effect from potassium. And then magnesium is what regulates concentrations of sodium, potassium in and out of the cell. So we need all three. And a real easy recommendation to make is a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, 100 to 200 milligrams of each in order to get maximum anti-cramping, maximum velocity and contraction efforts, but also the optimal regulation of what those things are doing as well from the magnesium. And we're going to combine that. We still need to make this thing gastrointestinally friendly. So we have to actually make this drink in a drink that is 6 to 8% solution. So that means if we have a 16-ounce water bottle, well, 6 to 8% of that solution, or 8% of that solution, is 40 grams. So that means if we have a 16-ounce water bottle, only 40 grams of stuff, combined amino acids and carbohydrates, can be mixed into that bottle for minimizing gastrointestinal distress. If it's more than 8%, then it actually is not enough water to act as a transporter to get it out of the small intestine. So then you end up with something sitting in your gut. You took a bunch of stuff to enhance your performance and recovery, but it's not getting to where it actually needs to go, which is the muscle tissue. So accomplishing the 4 golden rules of intra-workout nutrition, we're getting EAAs or whole protein. We're getting our carbohydrates. I prefer branched cyclic dextrin or Vitargo. We're getting hydration, which is enough water to make it a 6 to 8% solution with a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio of potassium, sodium, and magnesium. And when you set it up in that solution, we did it in a gastrointestinally free way.
What's up, Power Project family? It's time to stop dressing like you're a fucking preschooler and step your game up by checking out Vuori clothing. Now, I'm not one to talk. I wear a fucking pink hat that has a dog on it, but at the end of the day, at least my shirt and shorts are popping. So head to Vuori because they have great stuff for your top and your bottom. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, you guys got to head over to vuori.com/powerproject. That's VUORI.com/power project, and you guys will automatically receive 20% off your order. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to the podcast.
When you mentioned the electrolytes, when you see most electrolyte brands, it's more sodium than obviously potassium and magnesium. It's not usually 1-1-1.
Right.
Why is that? Do you know?
Yeah, we deplete sodium at a faster rate than we do the other electrolytes. So you'll see, that's why actually armpits get white over time in gym shirts, or maybe that's just mine. But if you're a saltier sweater, then you can have whiter armpits in your shirt from salt over time. You'll even see it in gyms, depending on the grossness of the person there. If you go to a bench, and there can actually be salt lining like around that's a salty sweater.
Nice.
So if somebody is a salty sweater, then they can have a 2-to-1 solution or a 3-to-1 solution, because we do deplete more sodium than we do the other. A safe recommendation is 1-to-1-to-1 because a lot of people already have more than enough sodium in their diet. So the 1-to-1-to-1 is kind of a global recommendation I can make. If I do want to be more specific with it, then that's when I'll do something like sweat testing, like we're doing this Friday.
Can the can the solution get too diluted with too much water?
No, it can. I mean, it depends on how much water you add, right? Because,
like 24 ounces with that same ratio for a 16-ounce cup or whatever. Yeah.
So your small intestine can uptake about 1 liter or so of water per hour. Okay. So taking that in, that's you're going to be excreting it. So long as it's gastrointestinally friendly, that's like the main goal. You don't want to have too little to where it's too concentrated of a drink, but you also don't want to have too much to where it ends up being gastrointestinally unfriendly again.
The main thing is you don't want it too like sludgy. You don't want to like 100 grams of carbs in this like tiny little thing of water. It's not enough water to get it all to pass through properly.
Yeah, and if you're having too much, the easy way to look at that is you shouldn't weigh more post-workout than you did pre-workout. You do pre and post-workout weigh-in. You don't have to be like very manic about it and do it every single time. But if you are training in the same environment for the same amount of time, like going to grappling for 90 minutes, you get a pretty good estimation on how much fluid you should be consuming.
What do you think this would do for somebody? Like, do you think this is appropriate for like someone doing jiu-jitsu to like drink a drink as you're mentioning, or is this more for someone who's like specifically doing a conditioning workout?
I think that this is for someone doing strength training, hypertrophy training, conditioning, grappling. No matter what athlete I'm working with, I've got 2 goals. I want to maximize performance. I want to maximize recovery. that type of combination is going to maximize performance, more chemically from the neurotransmitter and hormone thing that we talked about, but then also structurally with the supplying the fuel and demand chain of the expenditure that you're involved in. So I'm maximizing performance through those pathways. But when you have good intra-workout nutrition, you're quite literally starting the recovery process before the workout's even over. So regardless of your goal, if the intensity is there, you're going super low intensity, then whatever. But if you're high intensity or if you're fasted, then I do like introducing some nutrition in there to make sure that you're getting what you need.
Around how many carbohydrates, it would probably depend on the size of the person and things like that, but around how many carbs do you recommend?
Typically for females, 25 to 35 is plenty, and typically for males, 35 to 45 is plenty. Those are like very easy, broad recommendations, and then you can kind of work with your body subjectively after that. But if you did want to get technical here, in terms of transporters in the small intestine, there's something known as sodium-dependent glucose transporter 1 in the small intestine.
Oh, yeah, and Nsima and I were talking about that this morning.
Yeah. Your body can uptake 1 gram of glucose per minute. So that is about 60 grams of glucose per hour. So, but further research, you guys are probably talking about glucose transporter 5. That is, that's specific to fruit.
Of course.
Yeah.
Mention that. Yeah.
That's specific to fructose. So that's when you can get it up to 75 grams per hour because it operates through a different transporter. So between glucose and fructose, you can drive that up to 75 grams per hour. But I really don't recommend going over 75 grams per hour because you're exceeding transporter ability.
So actually a question about this too. When an athlete's working out, let's say whether they're lifting or they're grappling, when should they maybe start ingesting that? I would assume like they should have put in a bit of work in the session before they start downing that, whatever that drink is, right?
Yeah, it kind of depends on how soon your pre-workout meal was. So if you ate within an hour of training or 2 hours, there's plenty of circulating glucose and amino acids hanging out in your bloodstream anyway, so you can probably wait before you start drinking your intra-workout shake. But if you haven't eaten, if it's more, I would say within 1 to 2 hours, then you won't need to start it right away. But if you haven't eaten in 2 to 3 hours prior to training, I probably would start drinking it right away, even during the warm-up. But also, I mean, there is kind of a ritualistic component to that too. Like even me, like when I'm having my pre-workout, that is a part of my ritual before I get to the gym and get into a flow. And then even when I'm in the gym, I just like having my intra-workout around. And it's a part of the whole process for me. I personally don't think it matters much so long as everything is still gastrointestinally friendly. If you had a pre-workout meal, those nutrients are hanging around, so you don't need it right away. If you are fasted though, or if your last meal was quite a while ago, let's say you're a 9 to 5er and you ate lunch at noon and you're not going to train till 4:30, then I'd probably start having your intra-workout a lot sooner.
Power Project family, we appreciate you checking out this clip. Check out another one. Just go check out another one. Or comment down below and let us know what you liked about this one. But we love you guys, and we're going to keep bringing you the heat. So comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff, okay? Peace.